So we can't really talk about events without mentioning Unclick events. So I want to run through a quick example with an Unclick event. So in my HTML body, I'll have a paragraph and it's going to say click the button to display the date and time. And now I'll have a button and it will say the time is, and once you click on this button, it should display the time. So I have to give this button an attribute of onClick. And within this within the double quotations will be the name of the function that will be triggered once we click on our button. So an event will be triggered, display, let's just say display date. So this function will be triggered once we click on our button. So inside my script tag, we are simply going to have a function and call it display date. And oh yes, I need one more paragraph. And this paragraph will display the date and time. So I need an ID in this paragraph, and let me call the ID demo. So I need to get this element by ID and change the inner HTML equal to date. All right, so that should work. So we can check it out. Let us go back and refresh. So this is unclick.html. So let's click the button to display the date and time. The time is, and of course it gives us the current time. So that's just a really quick and simple example of an unclick function or unclick event. All right, so let's take a look at another example. So let me just remove what I currently have. So in this example, let us have a paragraph and let us say we're going to have a player and give this player a name. And let me think of a name. John. And we're going to, so right now if we save this and refresh, this is what we have. So this is where CSS styling comes in. And remember, our style goes into the head of the document. And I am just going to copy and paste a bit of style in here. All right, so that's a bit of styling. And if we save it and check it out and refresh, you see here that we get a nice, CSS styling. So you can run through this style. What we have done is change the font family, giving it a bit of letter spacing, transform the text to uppercase, align the text aligned it to the center, giving it a border, 2-pixel solid border, and a color, a background color, an actual color, box shadow, box radius. We've given it some padding so that it stands out a bit from the page. I'm giving it an inline block display and also a pointer for our cursor. So if we hover over it, it turns into a pointer. All right, so you can use CSS to achieve this, and it looks pretty nice. So now let's add a bit of CSS, or we've just added CSS. So let's add our JavaScript, because we want to be able to click on our paragraph and update the name of our player. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is grab our paragraph. So of course we need our document.query selector, and we will select our paragraph. And then we just need to add a function. Before we add our function, actually, we need to add an event listener. So the event listener that we will add is a click listener. And of course, we'll need our callback function, which will be update name. So now we can define our function. So function update name. We're not taking any parameters. So we're going to say let name equals, and we're going to give our user a prompt to be able to type their name in. So prompt, and then let's tell them to enter a new name. And then we're going to set our paragraph.text content equal to player 1 and colon. Let's see if that's how it's done here. Player 1 space colon. And we are going to join or concatenate our name. Okay, so with these few lines of JavaScript code, we should be able to update our player name. So let us save this, refresh. And now when we click on it, we get a prompt to enter a new name. And we can say our new player is Shanique. Click on OK. And of course, automatically updates to Shanique. So whatever player name you type in, Charles, hit enter. JavaScript is dynamically updating our player information. So let's look at one more example. And I'm just going to keep what I currently have here because I want to give you a bit of an assignment using the code that is currently here. So let me comment it out or let me just leave it as is. And what I'm going to do is add another section here. And let me just give this an H3 tag. Say turn the, let me just call it light bulb or light switch. And below this, let me have a button. So let's define a button. And give it an Unclick. And what I'm going to do in this example, I'm actually going to put the JavaScript here within my Unclick. Okay, so let me give my button a name, turn on the light, and let me just copy this. And this will be turn off the light. And between our buttons, we're going to have an image. So img give it an ID of my image. All right. So now let us actually fix up our image. And we need a source for our image. Okay, so we need to add our images to this folder. So let me go ahead and do that. Right, so I've added 2 images to my directory, and to organize this better, let me add a new folder called images, and I can simply drag and drop my images in this directory. All right, so I have a subdirectory images, and let's delete this. So my image source will come from here. So first I have to type in the name of my subdirectory, which is images / and it gives me both the images that are in there. So let's start with the bulb off image. And we don't really need to set an alternate because we need our image for this example. And let me set a quick style attribute here and just set the width. Let me constrain the width to let's say 100 pixels. All right, so you can set styling and also unclick events within the HTML elements. All right, so if we save this as is and check out our page, we see here that we have our light switch program, which comes from the H1 tag. We have a button to turn on the light and one to turn the light off. So currently our light is off. So we need to add an unclick event to turn on our light bulb. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so in our unclick section, we can do what we have been doing before. We need to get our document.getElementById. And the ID that we want to grab is the my image ID for our image element. So let's say my image. And we can do dot src for source and set source equal to images / picture of our bulb on. So not off, but on. And the extension, of course, we need that .gif. Okay, so let us save this and see what we get. So let's refresh our page, and now we click and we see that we now have our light has now been turned on. So what we've done is we've dynamically, it's pretty much what we've been doing before. Only difference is we are putting the code that usually runs or goes within our script tags. We're just putting it right here as an attribute to our button element. Okay, so now our light turns on, but now we can't turn it off. So now we need to implement the unclick event to turn the light off. So it's going to be similar to what we have already. So we want to get the element by ID. And the ID is my image. And we want to set the source src equal to pick bulb off and .gif. So ensure that you remember to add your extensions. And this should now work. So let us save it. Let's refresh our page so we can turn the light on, and ooh, let's see what we're getting here. We're getting an error. All right, so it's saying that it's not finding our bulb off.gif. So let's see. Let's see what we are doing differently here. Oh, okay. So I forgot to put my images subdirectory. So we have to specify where to find this picture, and it's in our images subdirectory. So that's what I forgot to put there. All right, so let's save this. Refresh, and now it should work just the way we want it to. So we can turn on our light, turn off our light. We can change our player name. Okay, so we see here a few Unclick events that allow us to dynamically change things within our web browser. So just a bit of an assignment for you. I'd like you to go ahead and remove this logic from within the HTML, because we're trying to have good code organization, and we want to do it similar to what we have here. Just add an event listener here or a function name and put this code within your script tag. So go ahead and work on that one and see if you can get it to work that way. All right, so that's that. All right, so go ahead and see if you can get that to work.